I would begin with congratulating our guys on a hard-fought win. We respect these guys from Michigan State a great deal. I still remember being a little kid growing up in southern Indiana, and I didn't get to go to very many IU games. And there was one game I went to, and I think Sean Resper probably put up 44. And there's these moments as a little kid that you're like, wow, like to be a part of those types of environments. And tonight felt like that. This was electric. I'm not saying we got a very warm welcome, but this was a good sign for our guys to be able to battle in this type of physical game and come up with enough rebounds and loose basketballs to get over the hump against a team that we struggled with last year.
Just speak to kind of rough start to the second half, and then the way your guys made plays down the stretch. Merez with the screen and some big rebounds, and Yaxel with some plays, and Elliott obviously with big shots too.
Yeah, we were struggling to find any rhythm offensively, and you're always in a pickle when we feel like we're always in a pickle. That do we continue to play fast when you have a 10-point lead, or do you try to manage the game a little bit better? And we're so proficient out in open floor that we really never want to stop going to that. And we just made a few bad decisions. We gave them easy baskets. We got the crowd into it. I didn't do a good enough job of calling a timeout. I thought we were settled in. I thought we would need them late in the game, as we did. And, we didn't manage that stretch very well. But I also thought they came out with the mindset that they were going to put their head down and get to the rim and put the onus on the officials every possession. And I would say this, that the three guys worked tonight, they had a very difficult job, and they earned their Big Ten salary for the last 2 hours.
Kellen?
One of Yaxel's best games in the Michigan uniform, 26 points. I guess what went into his consistency in terms of his scoring for you guys tonight?
I thought he was just around the ball. I think the 6 offensive rebounds, and this is just off memory, that I think each of those were the deciding plays. Obviously, we went down 2, Cheddar hits a 3 to get us up 1, and I felt like our next several baskets were loose ball rebounds, tip outs, and then we were able to get to the bonus, and he obviously made big free throw after big free throw in a very intense environment. And so just proud of his resolve and his ability to step up and be capable of getting the job done.
Tony?
Yeah, Dusty, obviously this game in and of itself is huge, but that's 2 top 5, top 10 wins in a row. This was kind of a pivotal week in terms of your season. What did your guys prove tonight?
I think we proved that we can still win in different ways. We haven't been in 2 games like we were in this week where there's so little movement. You're challenged for every inch of the court. You're challenged for every step. And so last year's team, we didn't respond very well once the Big Ten got into this part of the season, and we addressed that through recruiting. And our guys were able to do that tonight. They were able to get just enough space and separation and create the angles, and guys stepped up and made plays.
Chris?
Dusty, I'm wondering about the stretch. You mentioned about the 3 from Cheddar, but the stretch there that Elliott had with the dish to Merez and a couple of the buckets that he had. How big was that in kind of putting the game away there, and then just the overall battle between Elliott and Fears tonight?
Well, 2 elite point guards. That's one thing about the Big Ten. There's about 10 high level point guards. I may be forgetting a few. I'm not sure Fears isn't as good as any of them. I'm taking Elliott against anyone. I thought his little short 6-foot hook floater was the play that forced them to give him a little more attention, and then he got those easy baskets. And as you guys know, most of you guys are Michigan State people, you watch their games. It's not easy to get a dunk against them, and I thought Elliott and Merez were able to generate some great looks with their physicality, but most importantly, just going up through contact in the paint. But it was a credit to Elliott. We just put the ball in his hands and tried to camouflage what we were doing just a little bit without overcomplicating it, and he got us some great looks.
Woj?
Dusty, to have an 18-point lead early here and then fall behind in the second half and come back and win, is that almost something you needed to see from your team or wanted to see how it would handle probably the toughest place you can play?
No, I would rather us kept that 18-point lead. Maybe built on it and played great, but we also have to be able to win these types of games in the Big Ten tournament, that'll be important to us, the Big Ten regular season, the NCAA tournament. And so, no, every one of these games, especially against a culture like this, I mean, those guys, it's, equated to the Indiana football team. Like, those guys are old. I mean, you look at their front line, they're seasoned. They've been around the block and fought in some battles. So for us to compete at their level and then figure out a way to not collapse when it looked bleak, I think, for everyone wearing maize and blue, and to find a way, it's going to help us going forward, because we'll refer back to these moments, and this is going to give our guys even more confidence.
Dusty, for the way the night started of walking out of the tunnel and getting that welcome that you talked about from Michigan State fans, it's become memes, it's an image that's gone all around the internet. Can you categorize what the decision was to walk out there before your guys and kind of soak in that welcome before they stepped out there in this environment?
I was actually just taking a peek. I thought when we pulled in, the students were still lined up down the block, and even when we rode in at the Kalamazoo entrance or whatever, there's a long line, and I assumed it was students. I was like, okay, they're not in yet, but man, this is like we're building. This is a big time. There's a lot of anticipation for this game, and so I walked by and I was greeted as soon as I stuck my head out on the court, and at that point I was like, there's no way I'm ducking and running from this smoke now. This stuff doesn't bother me, and so I just let them get all their frustration and their animosity out early, and then that way they can enjoy the game. So I felt like I contributed to the environment just a little bit.
Yep. Coach, what did you say to your team in that final timeout with like 30 seconds left?
That we need to keep our composure, that we're going to play again, and not to get caught up in any riffraff.
Carlos?
Yeah, Dusty, just the streak, not having one here in several years, what does that mean to the team? And also, you said last year that you learned last year that there was too much emphasis placed on the game versus playing the game itself. Do you think the team lived up to what you wanted them to do as far as their emphasis?
Well, if you're resulting, absolutely, we did everything right. But I do think a lot more focus was put on what we needed to do to beat Michigan State. And if we were going to beat them, we had to be very sound in these areas. So that was really the extent of it. Merez Johnson, these guys have been in these environments. These Big Ten guys, Adai, Merez, the Big Ten guys, Elliott played at Cameron. I'm sorry, who's ever fun that was? So they've been in these environments before, so we didn't talk too much about it, and they were aware. These guys are on social media, they watch basketball, so, but anyway, if that answers your question. No, we just focused on what we need to do to win the game.
And the streak?
Pardon?
Ending the streak.
Yeah, once again, we stole it from it was the Indiana-Penn State football game, and I thought their coach made a great point. Coach Signetti just said, this team's never played here, so we just kind of went into it that, obviously last year we were 0-2 against these guys, but this team that we have in our locker room, they were 0-0, and so we're not talking about what the past teams have done. Obviously, this is important for our fans, but for us, this was more about winning a Big Ten game on the road and staying in a hunt, because we've got a very challenging schedule coming up.
Got time for a couple more right in the front here, Coach?
Dustin, when you talk about a difference in a year, what kind of growth has this been for you, being in this program, being a leader, and the healthy respect you have for Michigan State, just going from what last season was like to right now and going forward?
Like I said, there's a few programs in our league that have 40 to 50 years of culture, tradition, and it's just running like a well-oiled machine. We're still held accountable that we don't have 50-year seniors in year 2. And so we're trying to build it with the right type of people, but we're also our job is also to put the best team on the court for Michigan to win. And for us to be successful with our culture, it has to be great guys that care about other people, that want to work together and do it as a unit. And so we've made a big jump in year 2, but I want to give our guys from last year a lot of credit. Danny and Vlad, as you guys saw, they were very pivotal, and literally 50 bigs across the country watching our games, and then they go on the portal and say, I want to go do what they're doing, because it was so rare. Now, we didn't break the news to a lot of them that you can't do what they're doing right now. That's pretty special with their skill set. So we weren't very transparent with that. But credit last year's team, they gave us a glimpse of what we could be, and then this team has such a high ceiling. We're not anywhere near being where we need to be if we're going to win a regular season championship, which is the ultimate marathon.
Good, thank you. Karen, you want to close this out?
Dusty, I know you weren't on the 16-point halftime lead, but what did you like about how your team played in the first half?
Well, to be honest, I thought we made some errors that allowed them to get some easy baskets and stay in rhythm. For example, we fouled twice about 90 feet from the basket, and it wasn't that both of those times gave them 2 free throws, but it put them in the bonus earlier, and so those fouls I think they led to 6 points with uncharacteristic or undisciplined fouls by us led to 6 points by them. So even with us playing that well, we felt like that we should have had a little bit bigger of a margin, and we knew they were going to come out. We knew what was going on in that locker room, and they were going to come out fighting and swinging, and they did. They came out, and they looked like a well-oiled machine after halftime.
Coach, thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.